Hello, this is Alan Wheeler, and I'm making a VR, I think it stands for video reply, to the hashtag Council of Seven. Um, I'm still waiting to hear back about how to add this to the page, and this is pretty unscripted, although I have pulled out and shuffled the 7 decks, so to speak. I'll explain that. At first, I thought I wouldn't be able to participate in the replies because I didn't think I had 7 tarot decks, but counting them in my mind, I actually do. So my unscripted plan is to introduce each one. In a way, I'm putting together the Council of Seven as we record, as we speak. And so I'll explain how I came across each one and their personalities to me thus far. And I'll just draw a card maybe, since I've shuffled them all ready. I have candles and incense burning here on my home altar, and I will maybe ask each one what I should know or think about regarding working with that deck. We'll see how it goes. The first one, the first deck that I ordered was the Rider-Waite-Smith. Actually, first the Radiant Waite in a tin, and then the Universal Waite, and later the old standard regular one. But I think the energy's much the same, and the online discussion boards help me come to understand the meanings. I read a book I have over here buried called Meditations on the Tarot, which is actually based on the Marseilles deck, and it's Christian meditations in alchemy on the Marseilles tarot, which first helped me ease into tarot, coming from a Christian background, since I was 30 anyway. Okay, so the pictorial key to the tarot, I guess we'll just stand in for that book, representing that book element. But I did the study course with Bunning. The name is escaping me. It's linked on my website. And on the online forums, in discussions with other people learning these. This is a deck. This deck here I use in recording and in magic shows at the college where I work, when I use it to show students what the tarot looks like. And it's the Universal Waite deck. This is the box it came in. And I often think of the Fool and the Magician and the Empress, I guess, if I were to actually think of a anthropomorphic personality. There's the Emperor on the bottom here. So this was the first deck, and I know Ouroboros has an aversion to this deck and thinks it's flat, and I know that codename Owlmoon 517 doesn't like the tone of Waite, and I think a lot of people share those sentiments, although others, Avalon Cameron and I should be scripting this. Ann Maddox. What is her name? Anyway, started off and with the Rider Waite as well. So let me draw a card. Goodness. Here we go. Oh, the Four of Wands, and certainly I have those bright feelings, a feeling of being wedded to having good harvest and good outcomes from Rider-Waite-Smith, and that's what I usually go to do my readings. Again, those standard personalities in the deck, and it being someone who likes rune stones, the kind of the flatness of the deck doesn't bother me at all. Is almost helpful. So let me put these back in their velvet bag. I more do this as a demonstration for the students to see kind of a traditional storage, superstitious storage of the cards, but I do it with a lot of my decks for real. Okay, so that's the Universal Waite Tarot deck in the Council of Seven. My motivations for getting this next one, the Morgan-Greer Tarot, was really for reading for others who I thought I anticipated other people would find the Rider-Waite deck creepy, maybe seeing the devil card in movies and things like that. And I thought the artwork was more accessible somehow. It seemed more, I don't know, Christian friendly. This is 4 or 5 years ago. And so the personality is kind of this Queen of Swords, sharp thinking, but yet she has the flower here, that mixture of air and water, feminine and masculine in a way, but that sharp intelligence, but that soft delivery from this deck. And I don't have the cards here because it's at work, where I sometimes use it with a there's an advertising card there with the back of the Morgan-Greer deck. So standing in is my mini Rider-Waite-Smith deck, since I left that one at work. And I packed this one with a couple crystals in a black silk handkerchief. Kelly Ann Maddox, that's the name. And she did one reading for me, and it was a shadow reading, and she used the mini Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And it has the High Priestess on the box, and I would say that's the kind of shadowy energy the deck has for me. I ordered it after that reading because I liked being able to lay out 10 cards in a small space, the way she did for that video reading. So with a little shuffle here and a cut, I'll pull one card out. And it is, oh, the Tower, but reversed. So maybe that is a good card to indicate shadow readings, tearing down the ego and those pride and presumptuous thoughts and things to build fresh. But that is the, oh, I was reading for the small deck, just snuck onto the council. But how about for the Morgan-Greer deck now? Let's see. Let's pull another card. For the Morgan-Greer deck, change my intention here. I'm asking you for her. And, oh, this one is the Four of Pentacles, and maybe that indicates the kind of the stability, the trustworthiness, the groundedness that I originally got the deck for. And the colors I read were specially picked for each card in that deck, and may assist in that kind of grounded, bonded feeling of the Four of Pentacles. Trying to get these cards back in their box with the little white book. Again, this would have been better with rehearsal, but I do like the rawness and realness of a lot of the YouTube videos I see, so hopefully that's fine. The next deck that I got was Tarot of Dreams. I think it's pronounced Ciro Marchetti. The guidebook was written by Lee Burston. And it's a good detailed guidebook. And I looked at all the cards, I think, online before I purchased this, and I really liked the dreamy, fantastical kind of mystical feel of this deck. And I'm going to give it a shuffle. And it's one of the decks I'm discussing with a friend at the Cartomancy forum in a deck comparison discussion we're having there. So I'm getting back into learning this deck recently. And the card is the Emperor. So perhaps that's the Tarot of Dreams Emperor. He's, again, looks almost Egyptian, very fantastical, a lot of light. There's the four two of I miscounted, but he's got pillars and domes surrounding him there. So maybe that's the kind of authority this deck speaks with, or maybe through the dreams, the dream and mystical aspect, a teacher of taking your own authority and coming to your own conclusions and being responsible for your own actions through that mystical transaction. So that's the Tarot of Dreams on the Council. I left out the guidebook, which that's okay. I'll keep it over here by the bed where I do the work on the forums. I often consult that. Actually, this next one, I think it came before the Tarot of Dreams. It is the Alchemical Tarot by Robert M. Place. And one of my first friends that I met at the Eclectic Tarot Forum that's now defunct said this deck sang to her. And that was enough for me. I looked at some of the beautiful artwork and ordered it early on, right after the Morgan-Greer, I think, some years ago. It's the 4th edition, and the colors are toned down. My artist friend at the Cartomancy forum says he likes these toned down colors a lot more. There's the 5 of Wands, the 5 burning fingers, for example. Here's the back of the card with the Siren of the Philosophers pictured there. And this deck to me is very airy. Here's the Emperor with the eagle standing up in the clouds on a mountain, looking very airy to me. And I think one of the things is it doesn't have a little white book. The little white book I have was printed off the website where Robert M. Place offers it. But the big book that I waited quite some time for this new edition to come out, the Tarot, Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism, as I read backwards in this reversed screen here, has descriptions of all the cards along with chapters on numerology and the history of tarot and alchemy and all kinds of charts and things. Very cerebral. I really like the research that went into that, and the deck has that feel to me. And when I do read with it, whether online or with the physical deck, it feels very accurate, very exacting, I should say, and clear. Not necessarily direct in the sense of being frank or shocking or shadowy or anything, but just very clinical almost feeling to this counselor. So one of my favorites. And that clears all the decks I had here on this side, because I have a different almost feeling about the more recent decks I've accumulated. I'll put this book over here where I can reference that. And the next deck that I got was the Crystal Visions Tarot, and it was more for the feeling. The Fleetwood Mac music, the Stevie Nicks singing, the eerie feeling of that, and I have it in a bag from China when I taught English there that we brought back. Being Crystal Visions, I kept some of my first crystals with it, and always open these up when I read. And this is the personified deck to me. She's the Page of Cups in the deck, but I always thought of her as the maiden of the deck, and I don't know if you can see, she's standing in water up to her waist. She's got a glowing vessel there with petals and light, and she's really tapping in to soul and to spirit there. And my experiences with this deck were almost like channeling, like almost her speaking to me as I did the readings. So let's see. It came with a little white book that's in there as well. And I'm going to give her a shuffle. And her personality really was very super helpful, but very tender and sweet. You know, she's a young lady there, very beautiful, untouchable, mystical. So I know very well the feeling, but what might she have us think or think about her as a advisor on the council? Interesting. It's the Knight of Swords, and there's looks like ravens or crows swooping in. He's riding on a Pegasus, so very airy feeling as he charges in. with very clear messages. And yet he still has that tone of fantasy, of fantastical Lord of the Rings kind of feeling that the artwork brings. And I would have to say that her messages were clear, came quickly and directly, not in the sense of accuracy that I mentioned for the Alchemical tarot, but as far as being bold and clarity in that sense. So be sure to put on some Stevie Nicks music if you use this beautiful deck. After this, I had my big experience with now, I think forever my favorite deck, the Tarot of Vampires. When this deck came in the mail, and I opened it, and saw this picture on the front of the box, I had something like instantaneous path working. I just felt waves of vibration. It spoke to me almost immediately. And whatever deity, Venus or Gaia or the Divine Feminine, the Empress, began speaking and has spoken ever since in signs and wonders, dreams, and all kinds of things. The book, which is, even if you don't like the artwork, everyone says the book Phantasmagoria is worth the price of the deck. Agreed. Wonderful, expanding descriptions of the tarot in there. And what would the Empress? Keep her in a green velvet bag in the box. And there's a red silk handkerchief lining the box that I put in there. Some crystals and a pendulum in there. There's the rose artwork on the back. Anything to think about regarding the Empress's place on the council? This one is the Lord of Scepters. And all the kings in this deck are on horseback, charging in, rather than the knights are not on horseback in this deck. They are princes, and I believe they're standing. So here he is, fire of fire, charging in, and I would say the messages are action-producing, full of volition and energy and brightness, power. So I'll have to think about that. Place on the council. And I just see here on the box, there's one of the, it almost looks like one of the kings charging here on the side, as the tower begins to collapse. On the tower card, you can see a figure like one of those kings on horseback charging out, escaping the wrath to come there. So very important and powerful deck for me. And that is 6. The last one I only use right now, it's part of the deck comparison study that I'm doing with a friend. And I do have the guidebook for the Deviant Moon Tarot. So I've been using the digital cards online and do plan to get this deck soon. But the guidebook has large pictures of all the cards. I just opened to the Eight of Wands, so maybe we can count that as the draw from this deck. And I think the messages it gives are very, of course, digital. The Eight of Wands could speak of the electronic nature of how I'm using the deck right now, but also very quick to come through, very clear. The deck has a feeling to me of Pink. It reminds me of Pink Floyd music. The song "Welcome to the Machine." A lot of the Pentacles cards show factories and the money system represented by cogs and robots and things. But a popular deck from what I can see online, and very heartfelt, strong artwork, and clear meanings in the guidebook, and the deck certainly seems to speak quickly and clearly, like those flying arrows, the burning stabs pictured on that card in the Deviant Moon Tarot. And that concludes. It's almost 30 minutes, so I hope YouTube accepts a video this long. Thank you for watching if you watched, and take care. Many blessings.